Namaste. So, as I was going through or you know, rewinding my experience with implementing the programming paradigms course in APGDS team many years back, and was trying to share those the key paradigms and what a paradigm means and how that affects the worldview or the worldview that you are trying to capture in your program. I remembered that these days, because there are so many new developments in computer science, information technology, and related disciplines, there is always a pressure in curriculum design to push away topics like these programming paradigms or operating system design, detailed view on computer architecture. These are topics which are getting a lower and lower priority in computer science courses today. The reason is that there is not enough space in 4 year span to accommodate all those current trends and all the buzzword topics and all that, which is now mandatory to include. And at the same time, I was actually reading a book which I got called the Maverick Effect. I think it is coming reverse for inverted for you. But this is a book written by Harish Mehta, who has been very strongly associated with India's IT growth over the last 40 years. And so there also, I mean, it was a good opportunity to reflect on a lot of things that has happened in India's IT story. Today, everybody thinks that or considers India as an IT superpower. We have a lot of expertise there. So many lakhs of students are coming out every year with an IT CS background, and so many IT companies are there, and so there are all these developments that is taking place. Digital India and India's own digitization effort is also taking off quite a lot. So all that, when you look at it, didn't happen overnight or didn't happen, like a dream. There were many challenges. There were many things, and even my younger days, my early days of career, maybe a little bit before that, I mean, there was very little of IT in India, and so there were hardly any institutions in India who had access to computers. Computers were very expensive, memory was very expensive, and so from that time, that view to today's view, where everybody has a couple of computers in their pocket in terms of mobile phones or in smartwatch or whatever, and the adoption of technology, the growth of technology, what we wouldn't have even dreamed of being able to do, like recording videos like this, photo editing, and sending messages instantaneously through all kinds of things, social media. All of this didn't exist at that time. So that was one part of it, and the struggle to get appropriate legal framework, laws of to support or to recognize software as a service, as a product. They have also been challenges, and the Maverick effect actually captures a lot of those, particularly the Y2K, which was a turning point for India's IT industry. I don't know how many youngsters actually know about all these things. And I think when you understand that, you have a fresh, refreshed view about what India's IT field is. And same story holds for the computer technology that you do. For example, the early languages did not have this thing called I plus plus or I plus equal to 1 or I plus equal to 10 for increment and this kind of things. We had I equal to I plus 1, and that is the way all expressions and assignments happened. And somewhere along this came in. So today, most languages are providing this. You can make it sound natural by saying increment y by 10, saying y plus equal to 10, or multiply by y by 10 by y star equal to 10. How does it matter? Why did it come around? Okay, does it really? If I were to write y equal to y plus 10 and y plus equal to 10 or y plus plus, does it actually matter to the computer in implementing this? Well, remember, in most of these cases, at least these languages are compiled into machine code and then executed. And machine code obviously doesn't have all this glorified syntax and high level syntax at all. So, where does it matter? Why did these kind of things come across? So this particular example, I think there was one PDP generation of computers which in the hardware supported auto increment. So every time you access the memory location, the location would increment. And this was considered very powerful because otherwise I would fetch the value, increment it in the register and then store it back. So these three instructions basically became a single instruction. Every time you access it, it would increment. And that in particular instruction, hardware machine instruction could be made use of by the compiler if you explicitly said y plus plus. Yeah, when you say y equal to y plus 1, yeah, the compilers were not smart enough to understand that this could be done, this special instruction could be made use of. But so it is that trend which continued for a long time, and many languages implemented this as a primitive. But along the way, the compilers have become more sophisticated. So, if the hard provided an instruction for auto increment, your y equal to y plus 1 could be transformed into that instruction instead of doing fetch, add, and store back. So, as the compilers are getting smarter, it can automatically figure out if such an instruction is available in your machine to do this. So today, really speaking, it doesn't matter whether you are using all these shortcuts. Okay, and similarly, when we learned programming, there was two different abstractions. One called a function, the other called a procedure. So a function is supposed to return a value, and more importantly, a function is not supposed to do any side effects. So the function is kind of reversible, or the entire effect is contained in terms of the value that is returned. So when you say square a number or find the prime factor or whatever, so there is no external effect. So I could call this at my convenience, making sure the semantics are not lost. So, but procedures are mostly where there was an external effect, like printing a variable, reading a number, or updating a global variable, and these you couldn't reverse it, you couldn't delay it also, because it happens at the time when it's supposed to happen. And so procedures had a different interpretation compared to functions. But again, over the period, over the generations of languages, this distinction is gone. Now, some languages, for example, everything is called a function, and in some languages, everything is called a procedure. So, I think developing an understanding of why some of these constructs came, and what is its significance, is always good, because it gives you a deeper understanding of what programming languages are and how these languages differ from each other. And if our students are more motivated to ask why at whenever you are studying something, I think you will possibly discover these on your own. But given that most of us just lap up whatever is being told or whatever is there in the book, I think this kind of perspective becomes very important. Similarly, that is why it was doing programming paradigms, because that also captures the evolution of certain ideas which comes from different channels. How Java got threads is the concurrent programming abstraction on top of the object oriented abstraction you got combined, and that is how Java's visualization of threads came. And that is not how threads are implemented, for example, in C or any of those languages, right? So I think you will understand, you will appreciate the nuances of these language constructs, certain kinds of implementations, even architectural aspects, if you spend some time looking at the history. And I feel, these topics like, a detailed look at architecture, a good course on programming paradigms, etc., should be mandatorily present in all computer science or information technology curriculums. Because ultimately, it is not the syntactic sugar that we are looking at, it is an understanding of the field and the constructs and why and certain things are being done the way. Because that is how it paves the way for you to look at and say, can this be done better? Okay, and that, as I said in my talk on research, that's exactly the foundation for innovation and to ask, take the field forward. So I hope these things happens, and if not, at least you should spend time looking at some of these things. And there are books on programming languages, which is I think is also very worth reading, because there are about 3,000 odd languages that has come out over these years, and typically a student will learn just one or two languages in his 4-year curriculum. So getting a feel of why did these things come, what purpose do they serve, I think it's very instructive and very inspiring, at least the way I see it. Thank you. Take care.